Now, who can still argue that it's not altcoin season? Do you now believe Pablo when he calls altcoin season, right? A few weeks ago, I said, don't wait for it. Don't wait for confirmation, because if you do, you're going to miss the first 3x on a lot of coins. And this is exactly what happened. This is a coin Pablo called just 6 days ago. And today, it's basically done a 2 to 3x already from the bottom. Look at this. What am I talking about? CFX. This was Pablo's call. For folks who've been watching, this was literally like, that was the video where I called it July 14th, right? I literally said, I'm buying these altcoins, right? And there were only 2 coins I spoke about in there, and this was one of them. So I'll give you guys more of an update.
Then we can project
on what is happening.
Breaks, then we can project something like 14 cents. So next stop is here. And then if we break that, something like 23, and then
right. Okay, so something like 14 cents, 23 cents. So these are the this is what I'm talking about. Hit 24 cents straight through, like a hot knife through butter, straight through a lot of the resistance areas. I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 coins today that I think could do well. And first, let's have a look at where Bitcoin is. You know, Bitcoin is actually in a bit of a worrying situation, because we're coming to 6 hours from now. We're going to have the weekly close, and this is looking a little bit like a topping tail, not quite a doji. Doji could go either ways, but a topping tail tends to signal a pullback, especially after a big run like this. Like we basically had to go from 98 and then 3 red weeks, right, to all the way to 123, and then topping tail. Could see the pullback here and retest this 110, 111K area. Right. Now, but the good news is, maybe we're thinking maybe this is just rotation out of Bitcoin into Ethereum, because Ethereum has just gone even stronger. So Ethereum has broken through. Well, we need to see at least the weekly close. This is a very strong close, basically above. See this yellow line I've drawn, right? This bull pennant, with this being the bull flag, right? This is like a 5-year bull flag. 5-year bull flag in the making. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5. This is about to become a 5.5, 6-year bull flag in the making, and ETH has closed, in my estimation, above the resistance. Right, we might get some sort of pullback to 3.580, right, 3.560, like high 3.5s, and then boom, up we go. Very bullish looking situation. Okay, so what about ETH versus Bitcoin, right? The sheer strength of ETH versus Bitcoin. I was calling for that altcoin season has been confirmed when we were here at 0.026. I said we need to close above here, right, to give us extra confirmation. And within like 3-4 days of me saying so, we've now closed here. My target was like 0.031. We've already hit, 0.032. Are people still in doubt that we're in altcoin season? But if we're in altcoin season, how high can ETH versus Bitcoin go? And which coins, like last time I said, these are the 2 coins I'm buying, and one of them had this massive pop, and yet it's only the beginning of the move. So which coins are Pablo looking to get into now? Okay, so before we answer those questions, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo He-Man use? Well, Pablo uses this exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show you any ID. That means even the exchange can't see who you are. That means the IRS can't see you. The tax office can't see you. FBI, CIA, nobody can see you. Total privacy. This is the Pablo link to trade, right? So win up to $18,000 just by signing up, and 20% bonus just by depositing. Deposit $100, get 20 USDT futures bonus. Deposit $1,000, get 200 USDT futures bonus, right? Win up to 18,000 USDT just by trading. Okay, limited time only, folks. This deal ends on the 12th of August. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then the link is in the description below. The description below. But if you're watching it on another platform, such as this one, right?
So next stop
Then
is here. And then
basically just go to my profile page and it'll be the first link that's the stand link or the link tree. And when you click on there, it's the first link that comes up. Okay, let's get back to the markets, folks. And remember, this deal is only on the Pablo Human link, only on the Pablo link. Okay, so ETH versus Bitcoin, still running up. This is, as I've been telling my folks in my Discord, that this is the revenge arc of Ethereum. You know, there are people who've been saying that ETH is going home. ETH is going home. I called it this week. I said ETH is already home. ETH has already gone home here. Altcoin season is about to start, right? Because we've got the double bottom here, not quite, but we're almost there. And it was a bottoming tail, right? Just like, you know, I'm seeing possibly a topping tail in Bitcoin this week. And then boom, bull flag, and then breakout. So basically, if the where can this go? Where can this go? So this was the 2017 season. This was a 2020 season. For basically, that's try to identify the big resistance levels here. Here we can see this. Where's the next big one? The next big one is around 0.39 area, 0.039 area. Because look at this, we've got resistance here, pivot bottom here, pivot top, pivot top, pivot top, and a bunch of tops and bottoms here, 0.038, 0.039, right? There's some resistance here, but I still think we're gonna, push through those, get to about 3.7, 3.8, 3.9. That's where real resistance is. And then the really big resistance is here, right? Look at this. This is kind of still the bull-bear divide between Ethereum and Bitcoin around this level, which is 0.055. We have pivot tops here, pivot bottoms, pivot tops, right? And pivot bottom, pivot bottom, pivot bottom, and pivot bottoms around here, 0.055. And this is kind of like the bull-bear divide. And as in here, Ethereum is in bull market against Bitcoin, right? Below, it's in bear market against Bitcoin. Above, Ethereum's doing well, bull market against Bitcoin. And below, bear market against Bitcoin. We're basically just coming out of the bear market basement right now. Okay, so basically, okay, let's have a look at another Ethereum option. What is another Ethereum option? Well, as if you guys watch this video, it's top of my my Twitter for now. And basically, I've explained what CFX is, and I called it right here in the video a few days ago. I've basically been saying that
I've explained already.
Come on, I've already explained that CFX is basically the Chinese Ethereum. I call it the Chinese Ethereum. Okay, the way it works is basically that there's the reason why it popped up today is exactly what I predicted. Well, hey, maybe Pablo's got insider information. Who knows? Basically, US is going out. Trump is going out, all guns blazing with the Genius Act, Clarity Act, and anti-CBDC, legislations. So, in other words, these stablecoins are going to be huge. Stablecoins are going to be huge, and a lot of smaller countries' currencies will be threatened by stablecoins. So, like, imagine if you are living in a country where, like, the Philippines or Turkey or Argentina, and you may not be able to hold US dollars because you need to open up a bank. That bank needs to have US dollar account. Even a lot of major banks in Australia don't even have US dollar accounts. And you need to be able to even earn interest on those US dollar accounts. Now all you need is just some wallet that you can download. I don't know, like Trust Wallet, MetaMask Wallet, right? I'm not sponsored by any of them or any of the coins I'm talking about today. just even that, like any person in those countries can basically have access to the US dollar rather than their own currency, which is downtrending for years against the US dollar. So China faces the same problem. What if all its citizens start doing that? So China basically needs its own it needs its own cryptocurrency or its own stable coin, right? The RMB stable coin, or at least the Hong Kong dollar stable coin. So, and China has an extra problem. United States controls SWIFT, which is what everyone uses around the world to transfer money internationally. But China, if they're shut out of SWIFT by the United States because of the trade war, there's a financial war, there could even be a hot war between those two countries, then China needs to be able to trade with the rest of the world. And more importantly, the rest of the world needs to be able to trade with China, not using SWIFT. So how do you do that? Just as an aside, China has a system called CIPS they created, which is their own version of SWIFT, but only like 900 banks around the whole world uses it. And you probably can't even name a bank that uses CIPS system. But if you have the RMB stablecoin, like the US dollar stablecoin, if there's a yuan or RMB version of USDT or USDC, then problem solved, right? This trade can happen. And that's where CFX comes in, because so far, China's starting to launch all these stablecoins in Hong Kong. But when they launch these stablecoins in Hong Kong, what happens is, in Hong Kong, pretty much all of them, these offshore yuan or offshore RMB stablecoins, they're launched on Ethereum chain or TRX chain or even Binance chain, maybe Ethereum chain. Like, none of them basically are in control of China. So imagine if CZ gets in jail again, or the founder of TRX gets in jail, or Ethereum is essentially controlled by the U.S. Treasury. There's an office called Office of Foreign something, OFAC, and Ethereum is 51% controlled by OFAC. We already know that because the staking protocols. So that's for another video. So that's why CFX is probably the only chain that's officially recognized in China, in Shanghai, which is the financial capital of China, and where they can build an RMB chain that can actually be relied upon, right? That where US that cannot just actively influence it. So basically, CFX announced today that they're building stable coins for the One Belt, One Road project, which is China's project to link up with all these Central Asian countries, link up with Europe, link up with South Africa, with Africa, and essentially to trade. So this is major narrative. Let's have a look at the price points. So basically, I was telling folks around here when it was 9 cents to get in, because if you watch what I said here, if you watch the date and where the price action was, it was basically if this double bottom breaks, was talking about the double bottom at like 0.08, 0.09 cents there. Okay.
Last episode.
So
wait.
The here basically the we had the double bottom, and it was going to be a 3 or 4 cents move, which would take us to 14 cents. We broke through that, and then the next major resistance was this 18, let's call it 19 cents level, and I can't believe we smashed through that as well, because look at this 19 cents level. Since its founding, right, we've had, this is 19 cents. Oh, this is 19 cents, yeah. We've had pivot bottom. These are weekly charts, by the way, right? These two came close, like multiple pivot bottoms, right? And then more around here, pivot top, right? And then another bunch of trading action here, pivot bottom, right? For like 2 months to spend there, and then pivot top, pivot bottom, and then broke down, pivot top, And then finally, we just went straight through it today, right? I mean, yeah, this is another few minutes, another 6 hours before we close the Sunday weekly chart, but we went straight through it and hit this 0.24 area. 0.24 is also obviously big resistance level, as I've shown on the chart, but not as big. Look, pivot bottom here, we have pivot top here, bunch of pivot tops here. 0.24. Yep, pivot bottom here, pivot top, pivot top, pivot top, and pivot top. Still quite big, still quite a big resistance. So that's why we've got stopped at 0.24. I think there's a chance we bounce between 0.248 to 0.175. We bounce around here, form a bull flag. And I think it's time for CFX to finally take off. For folks who've been following my Discord or on social media, spoke about CFX quite a lot during the bear market. I was buying it around this 5 cents area in early 23, around 5 cents area. And then it had this massive run to like almost 10x to 48 cents, right? Then pull back, bounced up again, and then this is the thing about crypto. It's so volatile, and basically back down to this area. Everyone's given up for dead, and here I saw this pop. I said, now's the time I'm getting in. Double my position here, and I seriously think we are at the start of this move. So I've still just added more today. When we were here, right? I thought it's not going to stop at 14. I've added more here. I was very surprised. It just kept on going. But I think it's going to bounce between these two levels here, between 24.8 and 17.5 cents now. And how high can CFX head? So this is my read of the charts. If we were to do an Elliott wave, this was wave 1, very obvious. 2, and then we've started wave 3, which was wave 3 broken down to 1, 2, 3, probably 2 here, and where this is wave 3 of wave 3, and then we can do like wave 3 of wave 3, and then once wave 3 completes, then pull back and then do a wave 5. So it can go a lot higher. So obviously the major resistance coming up is this one, 29 cents, 29 cents area, and then small resistance around 38. But the major resistance, as we can all see, is around this low 50s, 50 to 55 area. And if that breaks, which I think it will, we get to around this 79 to 81 area. There's a chance we go even higher. Like 85 is actually the 1.618 projection on the Fibonacci. There's a chance we go higher, but let's see how Bitcoin and ETH does, and see if there's any more news coming out from CFX driving this. So basically, it's at $1 billion right now. Getting to this level would make it $4 billion. But if Ethereum is at, say $500 billion by then the Chinese ETH being worth $5 billion or at $1 is entirely possible as well. Okay, just quickly, as we've run out of time, but I'm going to talk about this other coin or stock that's related to Dogecoin. So Doge, you know how MicroStrategy is basically a treasury for accumulating Bitcoin, and SBET or a big miner, BMNR, there are Ethereum treasuries. And here is one that's actually a Doge treasury. This is the world's first Doge treasury. This stock that used to be $130 has now dropped to something like 15 cents. It's obviously one of those dying companies, right? It's decided to basically, that's what the chart looks like. We're here right now at less than $1. Decided to basically start accumulating Doge like the way MicroStrategy accumulates Bitcoin. So I do think it has a lot of potential. This chart this bottom actually looks like the bottom of Bitcoin at 15 cents. If you go at 15K, if you go back to the Bitcoin chart, you see that's what Bitcoin chart looks like at 15K. And Bitcoin, if it goes to 150, it's a 10x from the bottom. So, and this was this was at 12, 13 cents as well. So if we just say $1.30, $1.40, okay, that's 10x. I think that's major resistance is at $1.35, and then major resistance around $5.50. Yeah. So and I don't know if we ever get to $20, but yeah, that's a nice way to play Dogecoin. The Dogecoin treasury. It's called Bit Original, or BTOG. It's actually on the NASDAQ. Okay, thank you for your time, folks. Catch you next episode.